Remember the second singularity septum? Yeah, it's considered a major letdown. Even though it had so many characters with the potential to be super interesting, like the Roman-hating Queen Boudica and the freedom-loving Spartacus, the whole story just ended up being one giant promo for Nero. And it wasn't even subtle. Some characters acted completely out of character just to make Nero look good. The worst part? When they randomly detour to an island where Stheno, Elizabeth, and Tamamo Cat are hanging out. This spot was only useful for killing off Caligula and for Stheno to drop some random knowledge about the United Empire's capital location. Like, how does she even know that? Other than that, the whole island scene felt totally pointless. Talk about a wasted plot. Yep, we're going to talk about the storyline in Fujimaru's journey that I think is totally wasted. Of course, you can add more points or disagree with me if you think I'm wrong. A while back, I also talked about some characters with wasted potential in this series, so I think discussing all the wasted plotlines is just as fun. Oh, speaking of Septem, Queen Boudica's role in the Septem Singularity deserves special mention. She's famous for her rampage against the Romans after they raped and slaughtered her daughters, yet in this story she's an enemy-mine ally of Roman Emperor Nero. Mostly she's used for being a cool big sis or for marshmallow hell jokes. Her intense rivalry with Nero is barely touched upon. Fans and haters alike think Boudica would have been way better as an immediate or eventual antagonist in the story. This would have added more depth without getting rid of her cool big sis role to Fujimaru and Mash. Plus, it would have made things more morally ambiguous when Fujimaru and Mash inevitably have to fight her. Imagine the drama and tension that could have brought. The America Singularity is a wild ride, but some parts just don't sit right. Maybe it's just me, but out of all the potential American servants, we only get 4. 2 of them die super early with no impact on the plot, and the last one shows up for a last-minute save with zero build-up. Instead, we're flooded with Celtic, British, Russian, Indian, Germanic, and a bunch of random extra servants who are just there because they're popular. And get this, in a story supposedly about America, Thomas Edison, who had nothing to do with the founding of the country, is the President King. Yeah, a king. I don't need to talk about the correlation between the word king and America, do I? To make things worse, George Washington, one of the most iconic American presidents, is only mentioned to let Fujimaru know he died off screen. Seriously, I think he would have made a way better resistance leader than Edison. The lack of American characters got roasted in the All the Statesmen event. Altera shows up channeling the spirits of American legends like Wyatt Earp, Buffalo Bill, Davy Crockett, and Columbia. The protagonist straight up complains about how lazy the devs are for not including any of them. Talk about a missed opportunity. It's like they had this amazing chance to showcase American history and legends, but instead, we got a mishmash of characters that don't even fit. The whole thing feels like a meme waiting to happen, and here I am talking about it. Oh, there's a unique point that really doesn't get explored in the Lostbelt arc. If you remember, in Lostbelt 3, Spartacus brings up this idea that some servants from proper human history might actually side with the Lostbelt heroes because they think the Lostbelt leads to a better world. Spartacus even says he'd turn against the protagonist if he couldn't find any real flaws in the Lostbelt, since the people there seem to live free from oppression. I think this is a super interesting point, but nothing really happens with it. The Chinese Lostbelt turns out to be way less pleasant than it looks, and Spartacus realizes this almost immediately after making his point. Then, the following Lostbelts are so awful to live in that no servants from proper human history even consider them better than proper human history. In fact, some Lostbelt servants end up helping the heroes because their worlds are so bad. The only character who even slightly defects is Atalante Alter in the Russian Lostbelt, but this plot point is brought up after that chapter, making it feel like a pointless inclusion. I think it's a real missed opportunity for some deeper moral conflict and character development. Talking about Lostbelt, Avalon Le Fay brings up an interesting plot development where, thanks to it becoming a lost world, it's possible to bring some people out of the Lostbelt without them disappearing when it vanishes. If I remember correctly, Barghest plans to use this to bring the Fae into proper human history. Yeah, we all know how that turned out. However, nothing really comes from this development since the whole place gets almost completely wiped out during the story's climax, leaving the heroes with the exact same number of people they started with. I'm kinda glad the evil Fae didn't get to do whatever they wanted, because Fujimaru would have been responsible for whatever happened to their world. But still, I feel like this plot point got cut off. Maybe it's because of how long the Avalon Le Fay story is, but this plot's potential feels wasted. What do you guys think? The Imperial Holy Grail War in Heian Kyo puts a cool twist on the usual Holy Grail War. This time, all the servants are casters, and because of the era, they're often weaker than their masters, flipping the usual master-servant relationship on its head. But by the time the protagonist jumps in, the war's pretty much done. 2 servants get killed off-screen and their masters are out of the game. The remaining master-servant pairs, except for 2, decide to bunker down and avoid fighting, so it's just Watanabe no Tsuna and Shutendoji being proactive masters. Of course, in that event, we're up against things totally different from the usual Holy Grail War. There's the Tree of Emptiness, Ibuki, and that annoying Domon who's a major factor in the whole event. But I think it would have been awesome if the war with this unique concept continued from start to finish. Don't you guys think so too? Talking about Heian Kyo, the end of Danzo's interlude hinted that Domon was going to target Fuma to hurt Danzo. It seemed like a big deal, but then at the start of Heian Kyo, Fuma and Danzo get ready to ray shift, and Fuma is suddenly forbidden from entering, so he stays in Chaldea the whole time. This makes the whole plot point feel pointless. I think this could have been an awesome subplot, you know? After what happened in Shimosa and their interlude, I'd really love to see some development between Fuma and Danzo, either as a mother and son or as fellow shinobi. Those were some wasted plots I could discuss in this week's video, but since it's almost summer, you can also check out my video where I sketch swimsuit designs for some of the more forgotten servants. Yeah, help me out guys, that video flopped and I don't know why. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe and watch my other videos too.